There are at least 70,000 young people in Lake Macquarie, and this week was their chance to have their say in the running of the city. But the turn-up at forums was poor, and it was blamed on public transport.
Well, at the moment, apparently it's very difficult for youth to come from the western side of Lake Macquarie to the eastern side for any function, and they use this as one of the reasons why a lot of youth wouldn't be at the forum that we've been conducting this week.
Young people have complained that public transport, particularly buses, are inadequate, leaving them little or no access to entertainment or job interviews. And teenagers at youth refuges have complained that they are denied bus transport to school because of difficulties in obtaining passes.
I intend to speak with the new regional director in Newcastle and see if we can't come to some new terms with the transport problem and make it a little bit better for the kids.
Bob caps and braces were the uniform of the day, helping to make history come alive for the school's 300 pupils and a crowd of family and friends. But buckling down to work in those days was difficult, as one little one discovered firsthand. For past pupils, it was a chance to stroll down memory lane, to search for their name in the crumbling registers and to hunt for their faces in the fading photographs. Those were the days when the school had only a couple of classrooms, complete with a strict-looking schoolmarm. But ensuring the past will never be forgotten was ex-pupil and Newcastle journalist Ken Longworth, who presented the school with its own history book. A plaque was unveiled to commemorate the occasion, and a time capsule was buried in the grounds to ensure 1991 will always be remembered by future generations.
Things were tight early as play got underway in almost perfect conditions. The triples was a neck-and-neck affair until the fourth end, when the Kiwis took control. That gave them a three-shot buffer, and from then on they were never troubled. The Australian team of Perella, Taylor and Johnston rallied towards the end to make the score respectable, but the NZers came out on top 24-16. The pairs was never so cut and dried. World champs Bellis and Brassey took on Australia's Commonwealth gold medalists Schuback and Morris. The Aussies led by just one going into the final end, but the Kiwis were holding the shot. Schuback tried to be the hero. No luck that time, so he tried again. Trevor Morris could do no better, so the sides shared the points on 20 shots each.
We dropped a 3 on the second last end to only lead by 1 going in the last end, and Rowan had 1 right on the jack, and I suppose in hindsight we're lucky to only go 1 down, but we've still got 2 games this afternoon, and you know, Robbie Perella's playing well. He's probably a pretty good thing in the singles, I'd imagine, and we've just got to make sure the 4s will win.
There's never any problem getting yourself up for Rob Perella, so it shouldn't be a problem.
But if motivation wasn't the problem, Perella was. The Brisbane taxi driver hates to lose, and he took his anger out on Bellis. It was a consummate display of concentration combined with that amazing Perella body language, and the New Zealander had no answer. Perella the winner, 25-15. Unfortunately, the Kiwi 4s had all the answers. Cool heads and consistent play prevailed for a 22-16 win, and the locals will have to win both remaining tests to take the series. Catch all the action this weekend on NBN. Hundreds of scouts from throughout the Hunter spent the day in the air as 3 light planes took them on a series of joy flights. Just after 3:30, one of the planes, a Cherokee Warrior hired from the Hunter Air Company, had engine failure soon after takeoff. The pilot was forced to crash land in a nearby paddock.
Through the fence, swung around in here, and we had no control over it, swung back around and hit this fence post, and this is where we ended up.
It's estimated the plane had climbed to a height of about 100 metres before the trouble began. Amazingly, no one was injured. The 3 passengers were full of praise for the pilot, a Scout-approved flyer from Camden.
What do you think of the pilot?
Oh, he's done a good job, actually, to get us down, yes, very good.
It's thought the plane had made as many as 15 safe flights during the day before the drama occurred. Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
The accident happened on a stretch of the Mile Lakes used daily by pleasure boats. 23-year-old Trevor Silverside of Tea Gardens Houseboats was returning from a job upriver when he collided with a speedboat carrying 2 people and towing a female skier.
I was coming back down the river and they were going up, and as I came around the corner, he was coming in. Instead of going out around, he's come in, and we've both hit halfway around the corner head on.
The male driver of the ski boat was thrown into the water. His 9-year-old son, who was sitting in the back of the craft, was toppled from his seat. With no other boats in sight, Trevor Silverside plunged into the water and pulled the injured skier to land. She suffered severe lacerations to her left leg. The driver, although seriously injured, managed to pull himself to shore. Not knowing when another boat would arrive, Trevor swam for help, despite pain from a suspected broken arm.
It was probably about a kilometre up and a kilometre back. So, yeah, I thought it was quite a brave thing for him to do.
A doctor was on one of the first boats to arrive, so the patients were quickly stabilised. The driver, suffering compound fractures to his leg and liver damage, was flown by helicopter to the John Hunter Hospital, while the 34-year-old female from Swansea was taken by road. The young boy was uninjured. Lucky for the victims, a doctor was close to the scene as it took paramedics valuable time to fly to the inaccessible site. All that, though, could have been prevented if this police boat was operational. Instead, it's been sitting in this backyard for the last 16 months while department heads wrangle over its future. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Charlestown began their innings chasing 296 after taking 8 Belmont wickets yesterday. But the team was behind the 8 ball from the start, losing 3 quick wickets for only 20 runs early in the day. Charlestown's top scorer was captain Mark Hall with 36 runs. Belmont's attack combined pace and spin to rout Charlestown, Mark Curry taking 5 for 32 and Kevin Bray grabbing 3 for 26. In hockey, Tamworth has defeated Newcastle 2-1 in the first State League match played here this season. After a tight struggle, Newcastle scored the first goal in the 21st minute of the second half. Tamworth countered 2 minutes later when Mark Smith converted a penalty corner. The visitors sealed the match with another penalty corner conversion in the 30th minute of the second half. It's the second defeat for Newcastle in 2 days, beaten by Ryde yesterday 4-0.
Built on Hunter Valley Training Company land outside Maitland, the GEC Alstom's rotor and turbine reconditioning plant is a first for Australia, a boost to industry that impressed Premier Greiner and his parliamentary colleagues, Minister for Energy Neil Pickard and Minister for Employment John Fay.
It represents a very significant step in the development of Maitland, in the development of the Hunter Valley. In many ways, it sets the lead for the sort of things we ought to be able to do in this country.
While the plant is generating around $5 million in annual profit, it will also generate new training facilities. Up to 20 apprentices will be employed here. And Managing Director Doug Edwards said the company was offering 2 outstanding apprentices a study tour of the company's European operations. They will see where this high-tech machinery is manufactured, the largest accurate lathe in Australia and the most sophisticated balancing machine to be found in this country. The workshop has been operating since September, handling work from power stations and mines, both here and overseas. It may look the same as traditional clay pigeon shooting, but it's a space age away. These guns fired lasers. When they hit the reflective area of the target, the score is notched up. There's no recoil in the guns, and the sound of fire is optional. This outfit cost more than $100,000 to set up at Hungerford Hill Wine Village. The laser technology comes from the UK, and it's the first range in Australia. It certainly impressed those taking part, from novices to veteran shooters.
I think it's slightly easier, but that's what you want for the family. It's something that the kids and the women can have a go at too.
It is marvellous. It's tremendous fun. I think it's a very big plus for the vineyards. You can't help but enjoy yourself. It's another winner.
The unit at the university's David Madison building set up 18 months ago, thanks to $1.5 million in telethon funding. Already it has had a number of important articles published in international scientific journals. Now it is applying for patents on several medical discoveries. Today, award-winning medical scientist Sir Gustav Nossel praised the unit's work.
One of the worst things that happens in cancer is when the cancer spreads from its original site to some distant part, begins to invade the body. Professor Gordon Burns, the head of the NBN Telethon unit here, is an expert at finding out how that happens, and he's got new interesting strategies that might stop it, might stop the spread of the malignant cell.
Another major breakthrough is in the role of genes and the discovery of one that is responsible for regulating others.
In one form of cancer at least, we've found that the expression of this gene is abnormal. So we hope that by discovering how this abnormality arises to account for at least some types of cancer.
But it's not an overnight cure, and at least 5 more years of research is needed. The unit has already overcome a setback when months of research were lost by power failure following the earthquake. But since then it has raised $400,000 in external grants to continue its work. Today was a chance for representatives from the community, the university and NBN to meet the team and witness finally the unit's official opening.
While Singleton once relied on the rural sector, the town now rides with additional economic support.
We've got this mining expansion and we've got the army base expansion, which have brought a lot of new people to Singleton, and hence the increase in land development activity.
In the 1990 calendar year, building works estimated at $37 million were approved by Council, including 200 private houses. That's a 30% increase on 1989 and a 90% increase on 5 years ago. Council has also sold a large area of land in Singleton Heights to a private developer who plans to build 150 residential units. Council says a further 5 mining development projects could generate 1,000 extra pay packets, giving another boost to Singleton's growing prosperity.
It's not a highlight tape, but for Alan McMahon it still makes for some interesting viewing.
You watch him drop the knees, there.
Yeah.
Yep. You watch the bloke dive on Ashley's head, here, with the knee, got him with the knee.
Many fans thought the Knights had dug their own graves against Penrith by conceding so many penalties. But after watching incidents like these, McMahon isn't willing to lay the blame on his charges.
I've got to be careful here, you know what I mean, what I say, of course, and let's just hope they don't cost us any more points because, referees are only human, they're prone to make mistakes.
The Knights lost more than a vital competition point. The services of Mark Sargent and Paul Marquette will be sorely missed, but given the way Newcastle play the game, injuries have to be expected.
Injuries this year are going to happen, and probably going to happen a little bit more than what they've happened before because of the interchange rule and because of the off-season technical preparation. Which seems to be more advanced than what it's been before. So the athlete's bigger and stronger and therefore the impact's greater.
The new look night squad sees Glenn Miller bracketed with Doyle and McCormack in the centres and Jason Hoogerworth and David Thorne battling for the spot alongside Johnston and Mullane in the front row. Bruce McKenzie, NBN News.
Highway Patrol Officer Chris Manning has seen his share of crashes on the Pacific Highway. This was a minor accident, but it's an ominous reminder that the Easter rush is nearly with us again. And once again, police will be out in force.
There'll be maximum high profile with marked and unmarked vehicles. All police will be available. All the Pacific Highway, the main roads, all main roads will be covered with police.
Holiday motorists travelling through the Hunter will encounter the usual paraphernalia of the Highway Patrol at work. There'll be radar traps and random breath tests, but this season at least they won't see the new speed cameras. New technology, especially with high-speed breathalyzer equipment, which provides readings in minutes, will allow police to test and charge more drink drivers. And there'll be one new target on the police hit list. The 3-month moratorium on radar detectors expires on April the 1st, All Fool's Day.
Well, it was chosen from above, so it's appropriate April Fool's Day. So we just hope there aren't any bunnies out there that'll get caught.
The penalty for being caught is a $750 fine. Last year's Easter road toll in Region North, which extends from North Sydney to the Queensland border, was 5 dead and 60 injured. Senior police analysing the figures say speed, alcohol and fatigue remain the common factors. Once again, they can only ask motorists to take it easy.
The driver of either sites will be in operation this weekend right along the north coast, and our advice to the motorist is to take it easy and think about the time frames that they're travelling in and have sufficient sleep prior to negotiating their travel.
The Highway Patrol operation, codenamed Torres, begins from midnight tonight. However, police believe the busiest period will be tomorrow afternoon and evening. The traffic flow will swell again when the holiday exodus returns on Monday. Tom Hilston, NBN News.
Roller hockey is a relatively new sport in Australia, though it has been played internationally for years. It's a fast game requiring players to have the skills of hockey and the balance of a speed skater.
It's played by teams of 10 players with 4 players and a goalkeeper on the floor at a time in 20-minute halves. We use a ball, not like the ice hockey puck, and the game is much safer than the ice hockey version of the game, and there are more rules and regulations.
Despite their amateur status, Australian players are carving out an international reputation. Against the world's professional roller hockey teams, the Australian men's team is ranked 10th, and the Australian women's team is fast gaining an international reputation. Against New Zealand today, the team faced tough opposition. After the first half, the scoreline was even, but minutes into the next half, New Zealand scored. Australia came back quickly, but midway through the half, the Kiwis again took the lead. But it wasn't enough. Australia levelled the match at 3-3. With other games featuring Australia's top club teams, including Long Jetty and Muswellbrook, pitched against the Kiwis' best, officials predict most scorelines will be close.
Last time the championships were held, the New Zealand junior team won their test series in the penalty shootout, so I would imagine that through the whole competition it'll be very close.
Early this year, wearing safety helmets became compulsory for bike riders over 16. In July, all cyclists will come under the legislation. Project Protect Head is designed to spread the word about the new law in the Hunter, where 350 children per year are injured in bike accidents. According to the Hunter Area Health Service, the message is getting through to young children through their parents.
They're currently wearing helmets at a rate of about 80 to 90%, and over 16s are wearing helmets at somewhere that rate too.
But it's the older kids who have so far been reluctant.
It's the 10 to 16s that we're targeting this campaign at. They're currently at about 30 to 40%.
It's hoped pictures like these will help dispel the daggy image of helmets, and slogans like this will ram home the safety message.